this paragraph. Okay, he talks about, this might be an interesting story all by itself. A little Indian boy teaches himself to read. Which Indian boy is he talking about? Himself. But he's stepping back and talking about third person. Most of this essay is in first person, I. But this paragraph is in third person. A little Indian boy teaches himself to read at an early age and advances quickly. He reads and grapes wrath. In kindergarten, when other children are struggling through Dick and Jane, if he'd been anything but an Indian boy living on the reservation, he might have been called a prodigy. What is a prodigy?
Impressive or outstanding?
Something very outstanding, someone way beyond his age, being able to do the things he did. But he is an Indian boy living on the reservation and is simply an oddity. He grows into a man who often speaks of his childhood in the third person. So he's telling us he often speaks of himself in third person as if he's someone else. And this whole paragraph is in third person. As if it will somehow dull the pain and make him sound more modest about his talents. So he's removing himself a step away when he talks about some of the things he was able to do. And that's an interesting paragraph, the way it is written. You need to look at some of these ways that people construct their writing, because it makes such a difference. But here he talks about himself as if he's someone else. And he goes on about a smart Indian is a dangerous person, widely feared and ridiculed by Indians and non-Indians alike. Why? Why is he ridiculed? He says, a smart Indian is a dangerous person. Why is he dangerous?
Maybe because because they're smart and confident.
Smart, confident.
Maybe if he's smart, someone doesn't like him.
If he's smart, people don't like him. He's different. He's odd.
Like sharp.
Sharp. Like it said in the previous paragraph, he's an oddity. He's odd. We were Indian children who were expected to be stupid. Most lived up to those expectations inside the classroom, but subverted them on the outside. So in school, these kids lived up to the expectations people had, and the expectations were very low. But, he says, and he gives us some really good examples, and you guys look at how important the evidence is to support his points. He makes a point about that, the Indians and non-Indians alike ridiculed him, made fun of him. He explained that, and then he gives all these examples of how in the classroom it's one thing, and then out in life it was something else. They struggled with basic reading in schools, but could remember how to sing a dozen powwow songs. So they could remember, they could learn. It was just a different learning, and they lived up to the expectations in the classroom, and they lived up to the expectations outside the classroom. They were monosyllabic in front of the non-Indian teacher, but could tell complicated stories and jokes at the dinner table. So in class, just short little words, nothing complex, but every place else they could be, tell wonderful stories. They submissively ducked their heads when confronted by a non-Indian adult, but would slug it out with an Indian bully who was 10 years older. I don't know if it is true. Some of my students I've had in the past, my classes who are Native American, would say that sometimes as a sign of respect, you don't look at them. people older than you. Does anyone know that, if that's true? So is this a submissive thing of not looking at the teacher, or is that a cultural thing?
I think it's just respect.
Is it respect?
Yeah, because there are some countries where,
In some countries, they don't do that,
like,
yes.
when my dad, like, when he used to, like, you know, when he's angry and he's scolding, I couldn't look at his face. Like, it was like, I should always look down. I don't know, there's something like that, yeah.
In some cultures, it is that way. But in this case, he's talking about that, they just didn't even look at the teachers when they talked to him. But outside of the classroom, they were able to be strong and defend themselves and do whatever needed to be done. Those who failed were ceremonially accepted by other Indians and appropriately pitied by non-Indians. And what a powerful sentence. If you didn't do what you needed to do, if you did as little as possible, you got more recognition. I refused to fail. I was smart. I was arrogant. I was lucky. He repeats these words at the very end, the last sentence. And he talks about how he read all the time, and he was lucky. On the next page, and this is the paragraph, not the last one, but the one just before, he also talks about how he loved books, he read everything, junk mail, manuals, magazines, he read cereal boxes, whatever he could. And at the end he says, I loved those books, but I also knew that love had only one purpose. I was trying to save my life. Okay? Then he goes on in the next paragraph. And he talks about how the Native American students were not taught poetry. They were not taught how to write stories or novels. And they didn't have visiting teachers. So he, as a writer, makes sure he goes to the schools and he is there for them. And towards the end of this paragraph, he says, they look at me with bright eyes and arrogant wonder. They are trying to save their lives. Then there are the sullen and already defeated Indian kids who sit in the back rows and ignore me with theatrical precision. The pages of their notebooks are empty. They carry neither pencil nor pen. They stare out the window. They refuse and resist. Books, I say to them, books, I say. I throw my weight against their locked doors. The door holds. I am smart. I am arrogant. I am lucky. I am trying to save our lives.
I get chills.
It is totally amazing, isn't it? So, first he says, I was lucky, now he says I am. I was smart, I am smart. I was arrogant, I am arrogant. And he says, I was trying to save my life. The students who paid attention to him, they're trying to save their lives. And at the end, he says, I am trying to save our lives. Okay, get out a piece of paper and a pencil and tell me what you think he's trying to say. Oh, okay, let's see. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, what does he mean by I am trying to save my life? They are trying to save their lives. I am trying to save our lives. Just in your opinion, what is he, as an author, trying to tell you as a reader by those very important words?